The time difference, one village southwest of London has just finished its commemorations.
And you might be surprised to learn that the children at Sutton Primary School have been honouring our fallen soldiers and nurses since 1918. Our Europe correspondent Philip Williams reports from St John's Church graveyard.
In this beautiful war grave here in Sutton, most of the headstones are for Australian soldiers. Now, not all of them died of wounds. Some of them were struck down by the Spanish flu. And the person to talk about that is Nikki Barnard. Nikki, you've studied this whole subject area of the Australians and the involvement here at Sutton Venie. Yeah. Tell us about the Spanish flu and what it did to the troops.
Well, 1918 it first struck the village. It was a pandemic anyway, at the Spanish flu. And the majority of soldiers who are here, laying here today, died during 1918-1919 from the Spanish flu.
A terrible tragedy, of course, because these men, and two women, of course, two nurses, had survived the horrors of the Western Front, only to be struck down just as they go home.
Absolutely. Some of them were here recovering from wounds from the Western Front, some of them just waiting to be sent home in the holding camps when the flu struck, and many, many died. We also have some who arrived here from Australia, never having taken part in the conflict, but caught the disease and died. We've got 2 or 3 of those here.
Tell me about the village connection and the school connection to this graveyard.
In 1918, 4 school children from this school went to the local woods and picked wildflowers, and they came back with armfuls of wildflowers. Wouldn't take them home because for fear of getting into trouble, so they came and laid them on the new graves. One of the children's mother was a teacher in the school, and she so liked what they'd done, what a caring, kind thing they'd done. The following year, the school children did it, all of them, and it's been going since then.
So everybody in this village, who grew up in this village, has this connection, they've done it?
Absolutely. If they've been to Sutton Venie School, they've done this, yeah.
What's it mean for the children? How do you explain this to the kids?
They know they're in a very unique position of being sort of caretakers for these soldiers, for the families. And this afternoon when they lay the posies, that's when they'll all reflect on why they're doing it.
Now, even all these years after you've first done this yourself, you've been involved in this, it still obviously is an emotional moment for you.
It's a very emotional moment. And I think, again, because we're doing this for the families who can't come over, and for these poor soldiers and nurses who couldn't go home. They paid the ultimate sacrifice, and we need to respect that.
Of course, for most Australians, they'd be completely unaware that in this little tiny corner of England, the Anzac troops are remembered and are honoured.
They're very unaware. They're quite surprised when they come here, actually, not only because of the vast amount of Australian graves here, but because of what the school do and have always done and will continue to do. But within the village, it's a very, very, very important part of Sutton Venie. And a special, very, very special part for the children in the school, and that's embedded by all the staff every year.
Will there ever be a day, do you think, when you don't have an Anzac Day ceremony here?
Absolutely not. That will never, ever happen, because our youngest children, the 4- and 5-year-olds, are the future of Anzac Day in Sutton Venie School, so it will always go on.